everybody, my name's Carrie. I live just outside of Portland, Oregon. Today is January 3rd, 2018 in the afternoon. So this may go up tomorrow. But anyway, Happy New Year. I hope everybody had good holidays. I had a fantastic time off. A lot of sitting and just couch potatoing and knitting and crafting. And I've got a pile of crap to share with you today. So yeah, I had a great time at the coast with my son and his husband and our little family. It was really nice, beautiful days at the beach, and we just had good fun, and we really were just couch potatoes. We didn't do a whole lot of anything and the days flew by. So it felt really good. This morning I went back to my cardio kickboxing class that I go to, and it's been a couple of weeks since I've been, and so it was hard. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a squat or a sit-up or a push-up or any of that. So, but I went back. I've been going 3 days a week. I've been really good about it. So taking that break, I was a little nervous about, because I didn't want it to be like, oh, I know it's going to be hard, I don't want to go back, and I can really easily talk myself out of going. But I went back, and I did okay. So right back at it, right back in the swing of things, and I'll be sore tomorrow, but that's okay. So that's one reason why I decided to record today on a Wednesday and normally record on a Thursday, which it really doesn't matter probably to you all. But when I go to class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, by the time I get home, it's like 11 o'clock in the afternoon. And so to me, that's like half my day's gone. And so I don't get a whole lot of dyeing or making or stuff for my shop done on those days, because it's like half the day's gone. So normally I record on a Thursday, and I thought, you know what if I recorded today? Take the half a day that I have and record and start editing, and it might go up tomorrow, I don't know. And then I've got all day tomorrow to dye. So I've got some new colors that I've been working on. I didn't get as much dyeing done as I had hoped, because I don't know, I just didn't. Just being gone and just other stuff going on and happening. But I will show you some of the new stuff at the end, because it's still kind of damp. So I will pause and then go get all that stuff, and I'll show that at the end. So, welcome to my little land of crazy here. If you are a follower or viewer that you've been watching, you know that last episode I recorded and showed that I wanted to give away a shawl that I had made. So it is the Vente shawl, just to refresh your memory. It's got a thread on it. There we go. So it's the Vente shawl. And people left, I asked you to leave a comment below to say whether or not you wanted to win this shawl. I loved the shawl. I loved making it. I just don't wear it because the colors just aren't right for me. So I put all your names in a bowl, and we had like 50 something entries. And so I am going to randomly pick somebody. Melissa Brown. So Melissa Brown, get in touch with me either through like Instagram or Ravelry is the easiest way. Links to all that stuff is down below in the description box. And congratulations. And thank you to everybody that said that they would like it. I mean, I do think it's a beautiful shawl. It's just not the right colors for me. So I'm happy that it's going to go to somebody that will enjoy it. And so I look for maybe some more of that in the future, because a lot of the stuff I have made recently, as my knitting has really progressed, and it's pretty much the main craft that I do, I've got other stuff that I've made that I know I won't wear because I just don't. Not for any other reason other than I just don't. So that goes to Melissa. I will put that aside. And onward. Tracy from Thimble and Thread Make, I've mentioned her before. She has a podcast and Etsy store. She's on Instagram. Sorry, I'm fidgety because I'm okay. I gotta stop fidgeting. Anyway, she had asked, about like a lot of people will do the word of the year. Like, what's your word that's going to be like kind of your guideline for the year? And I always try and pick a word. I don't always do anything with it, but it's just something to put my focus somewhere at least in the beginning of the year. So today's the 3rd. It's 3 days in. I'm good. But my word for this year is balance. I am going to try and find a better balance. I think everybody does, no matter where you are in your life, trying to balance everything. But I know creatively, because I dye yarn and sell handmade things, that's a creative outlet, but it's also work. And I have to balance the work stuff and give myself time to play and be creative for no other reason other than to be creative. Not for any purpose, not to try and sell it or anything, just to get it out of my head. When I long arm quilted, one of the things that happened as I got more into it and stuff is that the joy of quilt making and creativity in general really was just getting sucked out of me, because all I did was spend my creative time doing something for other people. Yes, I got to quilt and I do all that, but it wasn't for me. There wasn't the freedom that I have when I create for myself, where I allow myself to make mistakes. I allow myself to make a mess. I allow myself to just go, that didn't work, and throw it away. So I got super burned out on it, which is why I quit. And physically it was getting hard to do it every day. And I don't want to get there again, because what ended up happening is I just didn't feel like creating anything. I was really just dried. That was all just dried up. My creative bucket was empty. And it took almost a year, I'd say, before I started feeling creative again. And it just was not a good feeling, because that is really who I am. And so to have that feeling that kind of was taken away, I just wasn't, it just wasn't me. And so when I started, when it's like I had enough time away from that and started dabbling, and I started picking up my knitting, which I hadn't done in a really, really long time, right about the time I started, about 6 months before I started this podcast channel. It's like now I can't stop the creative ideas. They are just flowing hard and heavy. It's like I released the dam and just said, okay, you can be creative again. And I've just got all this stuff in my head. Some of it feels overwhelming because I want to do everything and I can't do everything, but it feels good to be back in that creative mindset, and I don't want to go back to where I was when I was feeling burned out. So I'm going to try and find a better balance on feeling like I'm always doing for something else or someone else, and allowing myself the time to play and not feel guilty about it, not feel like I should be dyeing today, or I should be, scanning and labeling up. And, there's a lot of stuff that goes into being a dyer besides just the dyeing. It's the photographing, it's the labeling, it's shipping. It's like a ton of stuff and a ton of time, which I do enjoy, but I can't have that take over my free time. Sorry about that. Hold just a moment. So there we go. So anyway, that's my word. That's my word that I'm gonna start my year with. We'll see what happens, but I am gonna try and be better at that. So let me get my names out of the way, because I've got so much stuff here, you guys. It's like I don't even know where to start. It's been a fun couple of weeks. Okay, let me start with a new craft. Actually, let me look. Okay, I'm going to start with a new craft. I do have notes. I'm going to try and follow them, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. Back in October, and I put the punch thing, here it is. Back in October, I bought this Oxford rug, needle punch rug, needle punch? I don't know what you call it. And I just didn't have time to really play with it when I got it, because then it went right into the holiday prep type of stuff. And then Andy from Andre Sue Knits has been showing some gorgeous, gorgeous rugs that she's making using this technique, and I think she even uses the same needle. And it's just been so inspiring. And I just kept being like, okay, when I get done with blah, 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 I can try it. It's a part of that whole balance thing. So finally, I made the time to do it. And so I kind of want to show you what I'm doing. So this particular punch works with worsted weight yarn, makes a 1/4 of an inch loop. So that's what that does. You can YouTube punch needle, rug hooking, whatever, and see how it works. Basically, you punch through the fabric, and then so the yarn comes out the other side, and when you pull it back, it leaves that loop of yarn. You work from the back side. So I'm going to show this to you. Now, like I said, I allow myself to make things that I don't keep, but it's worth trying. And I didn't want to invest a whole bunch into it. As far as getting, like, there's a certain kind of hoop you can use. Well, it's like a $60 hoop, and I didn't want to buy that if it wasn't something that I was going to be able to do or enjoy doing. So what I did, this punch thing came with a piece of monk's cloth, which is just a loosely woven fabric. So I had that, and so I just designed something that would fit on that. And what I did, okay, I'll show you where it's at so far. So there it is. That's where it is so far. I don't know what it's going to be. It's just something for me to try to see if I like it. So, okay, so now you see it. And what I did is, from back in my quilting days and designing my quilts and things, some of the things that are good sources to use are like coloring books, and another one that I'm gonna play with is stained glass books, because the drawings are already there. So I had gotten this. It's called Nordic Designs, and it's a coloring book. It just has pages of, hopefully you can see it, it's not getting too blown out, pages of designs in it. And so what I did is I just passed it, kind of loosely followed that design. And so I wanted to keep my shapes simple. And I don't even remember where I got this book. Dover Publications. Dover Publications has a lot of books, all different kinds of books that are like royalty free, so you have the permission to use them because nobody owns the design anymore because of age or because of whatever. So I got a lot of books from Dover. And so I just took I took a piece of freezer paper. Sorry, this might be a little crinkly. Took a piece of freezer paper, which I've talked about before. It has a waxy side, so there's the shiny side is a waxy side, and when you iron it to fabric, it sticks to the fabric. And so my idea was to draw it on here, and then I'll iron it to the monk's cloth, and then that'll stick, and then use my light table to trace it out, but then the fabric's not moving. So anyway, this is what I drew up. So this is the design I'm going to use, and I was really careful on using, like, I have circle templates. This is my oval template. I couldn't find my circle template. But, you know, using things like this, the center of a tape, masking tape, my bobbin from a long arm. So my bobbins on my long arm are bigger than your regular sewing machine bobbins. So that made a good size circle. So just kind of pulled different things like that to make my design. So, if you can see, kind of, does that show it? No, I can't show it all in one picture. So I'm like doing this middle section right here. So what I did, because I don't have the hoop, is I thought, oh, I bet it would work if I use my frame, my scroll frame from cross stitching. Because I used to do a ton of cross stitching before I just couldn't see it anymore. And I thought, well, that would work because I could keep it nice and tight. And so far it's worked okay. The problem is it's not keeping it tight from side to side. And I didn't think that was really much of an issue, but then I'm realizing that I think because I can't get it as tight as I need it to be, some of my loops are coming out a little longer. It's not as uniform. And I think that has to do with the tightness of the fabric, that when I'm pulling that needle back through, it's leaving too much yarn in the loop. So, you know, lesson learned. I also didn't have any worsted weight wool yarn to play with. I like have one color because I just don't usually work with worsted. And so I just used Red Heart acrylic yarn just to try it. I didn't want to go through, because to take out all my stuff to dye like a skein, I didn't really know what colors I wanted to do. I just used Red Heart yarn. Not my favorite, partly why I think this looks a little childish, because the colors are just, I don't know. They just don't have the same kind of depth of color. They're real bright, which I like bright colors. I don't know. I didn't expect it to look like anything, so it's not like I'm disappointed. I think it's turning out okay. So the funny thing is I was so careful, and I made these little circles, like made sure, measured so that they were all exactly spaced. Well, it's not really that critical once you start getting the loops in there, because, well, as you can see, it just doesn't hold the same exact crispness. So I know next time when I design something to be a little bit looser with it, as far as design goes, I also think working with wool is going to make it easier. But it's working out okay. But now I'm at the point, because I'm like, oh, I have to see what it looks like with this blue behind it, blah, blah, blah. So now I have this thick part that's really the middle of the piece. And if I scroll my thing up, well, then it's thicker in the middle, and then this isn't getting very tight on the sides because there's no stitching. Oh. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have the proper hoop. I don't know if I don't know. I just don't know if I like it enough to invest in it. I don't know if it's something, because of the fact that I like to do so many other things, I don't know if I can dedicate enough time to like really making a rug with it. I like doing it. It was fun. It would make my wrist a little bit sore after a while, but I think I expect that just because, you know, I'm old and that's what happens. But I'm not sure. I'm still going to play with it. I don't know if I'll finish this or not. I mean, I might as well. I've got a crap ton of Red Heart yarn. What else am I going to do with it? But then I was thinking, what if I did, another thing I saw over break was Nancy from Round Rabbit. She has a podcast and everything. She's a hoot. She was doing before Christmas, she was doing it as Christmas presents, punch needle, which uses embroidery floss. So you have a smaller needle. I don't know if you can see that. It's quite small. And so you use embroidery floss with it. And same kind of thing. You punch and it leaves a loop on the other side. I bought some weaver's cloth, which I don't know where I put it. I put it somewhere. Because I have so much crap in here, you guys. It's probably under this pile that's right over here. Anyway, so you do more of an embroidery piece, more of like something you would frame and or make a pillow or something like that. And I thought, well, I've got a ton of embroidery floss from my cross stitching days, so I've got the supplies. It's a little more portable. To get the right hoop for that is more affordable. I'm gonna give it a try. This just came in the mail just like an hour ago, so I haven't had a chance to even try it yet. But I'm going to give it a try, and just because I think it would look really cool if I follow some of the designs in the stained glass books that I have. I think it would be really neat. And then you just frame it or whatever. I don't know that I'd make a pillow because I don't like a bunch of pillows. But it could be really nice framed or stretched over canvas or something maybe. So I don't know. Stay tuned on that. That's a project that's up and coming that I'm going to try. Okay, I gotta clear some of this stuff out because, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe the amount of crap. I wanted to show you everything. Okay, put this over here. All right. Okay, get rid of that. Get rid of that. All right. Hi. So, over Christmas, I met up with my friends, Michelle, Leslie, and Lori, and I have to say, they spoiled me something terrible. So let me gather. I gotta gather what I got for Christmas. Okay. So, no particular order. I'm just grabbing things out of my little bin here. This really cool yarn from the Yarn at Home Mom. Look at that. Look at that rainbow. So this is called Rainbow Dash. And so what I think, I'm going to make socks with these because it's sparkly too. I mean, look at that. Oh, that is just too cool. So I think it's just going to be blue, and then you get this like line of, I don't even know that it'll be a whole line, but you'll get a dash of a rainbow, and then I'll go and then get a dash of a rainbow. And I think they're going to make awesome socks. So that was fun. Here, I'll put it back in here. Then I was surprised by Janine from the Yarn and You, and she sent me this beautiful Rambling Rose yarns in the colorway Eggplant, which, like, hello, can't go wrong with that, which totally surprised me. And then Michelle had given me beginning of December, before December 1st, an Advent mini calendar, and I talked about it and showed you. And then at the end was, for the Christmas Day, was a skein of yarn. And I didn't open mine, Leslie. I saved it, and I actually brought it to the beach with me so I could open it on Christmas Day, because I'm a rule follower. But anyway, this was Christmas Day's final thing after you did all the minis, and this gorgeous skein of yarn from Forbidden Woolery. And the colorway is Shot Over River, and it's based off of this picture of the Shot Over River, which is in New Zealand. So the picture has been photoshopped, as she says that, but she just liked the colors. I think this will make a really pretty, what is it called? Dodging Raindrops cowl, the one that Lori made me, that purple one, which I didn't bring because I didn't. I think it would be really pretty, don't you think? So you've got some of this plummy. Then I also thought, oops. Then I thought, wouldn't that be pretty if I paired that up with that Janine gave me? I don't know. I don't know if I should do that or if I should just make a cowl with it, because that would be pretty. I think I'll just leave that right there. So thank you, my friends. Another thing that I got from Leslie is this cute basket with this little fringies. I love it. And she gave me, hang on a second. She gave me a bundle at Betty. I was pretty excited because I've been wanting one, and I just was like, really? You don't really need one. But if somebody's going to give it to you as a gift, why not? So Bundle at Betty has a pair of jeans. Sorry, Betty's a little naked on the top. And I started her sweater. So that's as far as I've gotten on her sweater. So her sweater's this pink and gray. And then she has her little jeans. Not sure if she likes to wear a hat. We'll have to talk about it. But the funny thing, I mean, I just think this is a brilliant idea. Andy from Andre Sue Knits, brilliant idea. And I just thought it was just like so cool, and really cool that Leslie got me one. It's funny because when I was a little girl, I really didn't play with dolls too much. I was really more of a tomboy. And so I just find this to be really cute, to be able to make little clothes for it. So I bought the, did I buy? No, it was a free pattern that came, if you go on what is she, Andre Sue Knits on Ravelry? Yeah, go on Andre, if you have one. If you have one, you already know. But you can go on Andre Sue Knits, and this is a free pattern for the pants, the sweater, and a hat. So, so she's going to get a little sweater. But I actually think it's pretty cool. And I was pretty tickled that Leslie got me one. So now I have my own Bundle at Betty. And I love it. Look at this cute stitch marker. Made me tear up just a bit. It's from Lori. A little Volkswagen bug with a red gem on it. And my brother's favorite color was red. So, not going to talk about that more. Look at this. little scissor holder. Look at how cute that is. Look at that fabric. It's so cute. And the scissors have, I don't know if you can see, I don't know if it'll focus, but it has little purple bows on it. And so it's got this little tie that holds it in. And then you got your little scissors. And then I can just stick that in here and I don't poke anything. It doesn't snag on anything. Very cute. She did a great job. Oh, and little stitch markers and oh gosh, it was just really, really lovely. Okay, I'm getting warm. So I'm gonna make something with that. And then my friend Lucy, it wasn't necessarily for Christmas, and she gave this to me probably right after I recorded last time. She, Lucy and I have been friends for a while. We met in our quilting guild, and Lucy's just great. So she had asked me, she's like, can you send me like your logo? Send me your file with your logo, whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. Look what she did. She embroidered it on a tote bag. Look at that. She separated my design out and put that along the border. So the back has just the border on it. But she put my logo in embroidery. Is that just amazing? It's got this adorable fabric on the inside. And this little woolen felted ball. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. So now I can use it because I showed it to you. So I just was spoiled by my friends for sure. For sure. And I love it. And then I did do some knitting. Okay, that goes with Betty. All right, there we go. Let me see. Okay. So one thing I did make something with my knitting machine. And I had dyed up this skein of yarn. And I didn't want to dye more up until I saw how it knitted up, because I thought, well, why do a bunch of it if it's not going to knit up nice? So there's the yarn. And so I knitted a cowl on my knitting machine. So I did a tuck stitch pattern, and I had done a kind of a short one out of a beige fabric a couple episodes ago. I think I showed it, and I thought, let me just do that. And I actually think the way that it did the kind of burgundy color, it looks really cool. So I guess when you do tuck stitch, you're supposed to like, that's supposed to be the right side, but I still like the other side better, although it doesn't matter. So this, I just kind of guessed, and for like how many rows and stuff based on my gauge, and I made a cowl. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm checking with somebody to see if she wants it or not. If not, then I will do something else with it, because it's not the right color for me. But I might make something. I might actually, that would be kind of cool, out of this yarn. That'd be cool as one of these. Anyway, that was fun. And I actually was really proud of myself that I got through the whole thing of however many rows this was, like, 300 rows or something, I don't remember, without screwing it up. So that was pretty good. And I did a provisional kind of a cast on the machine, and then when I got to the other end, just took it off the machine and put it on knitting needles, and then Kitchenered it. So that was pretty fun to do. Right now I did start my poncho. I got the Church Mouse yarns pattern, which I didn't print, it's just on my tablet. And basically you knit a long rectangle, and I needed to know, like, how long do you knit it, how wide do you knit it, what's the gauge, that kind of thing. And so I thought, well, I don't want to, it calls for DK weight yarn, and I thought I don't want to dye up a bunch of yarn for it. I really kind of wanted like a dark blue, dark purple, something like that, that could wear with everything. And when I was at the store, I found this Lion Brand yarn. Where is it? There we go. And it's brand new is the name of the color, but it's like a navy, almost has a slight purplish undertone to it. And it was on sale. So I bought enough of it to make the poncho for like 12 bucks. So I thought, you know what? If it ends up being just turns into a dog blanket or something. At least it didn't cost me an arm and a leg. So it's about halfway knitted right now. I got to get back to it. It's still sitting on the machine, so I can't show you. But it's basically going to be a long rectangle, and then I just connect it. So on one edge, which should be the bottom edge of the poncho, I did do a different kind of a stitch to hopefully keep it from curling. Because this is acrylic yarn, I can't really block it. I mean, I'll try and see if I can get that curl to not keep curling. It's very, very soft. So if it's just something I wear knocking around the house or something, then I'm okay with that. And then if it works out and I feel like it's something I wear, then I will dye up some yarn and use some good wool yarn to wear with it. So I'll probably post it on Instagram. You'll see it on there. Let me throw some of that stuff away. Okay, get that out of the way. Look at that, I'm kind of clearing out. Another thing that I have been working on and knitting, hand knitting, is my Staring at Stars sweater pattern by Alicia Plummer. I got the body done. I got to the point where I bound off the bottom. I'm still connected. Oh, and I got this. Look at that Lori gave me. It's so cute. Let me see if I can hold it up. It's a little owl. And it's these little stitch holder things. I don't have any of those, so that was like really cool, because when I had all the stitches on my needles, it was tricky to make sure that it went in the bag and out of the bag without pulling my stitches out. But I have bound off. So I did do the little eyelet kind of thing on the bottom, which just sort of gives it an open ribbing. And then what you do is now I pick up the stitches. Let me hold this. I got to try and remember to not flip things around so fast. My brain's going 100 miles an hour and I need to slow it down so that you have a chance to see it. So I have to pick up the stitches from the bottom and pick up all the way around and start doing a ribbing. And in the pattern, it just says pick every 3 out of 4 stitches up, but it doesn't give you a number. It just says that you should have a multiple of 3 stitches. Well, how do I know I have enough? I don't know how many stitches I'm supposed to have, so I'm a little confused. I'm gonna look at people's project pages and see if anybody's said how many they picked up. I guess I just pick it up and hope for the best. So I'll do that, pick it up, and then I do 2 inches of ribbing, and then I'll pick up for the sleeves. So, I mean, that's a lot of knitting. One thing that I did, and it should be in here because, oh, and this smells good. This is my, my little thing that Lori gave me. She gave all of us. It's a little, like a felted square, and you put drops of essential oils on it, and then it's got these little holes in the tin so that it makes your stuff smell good. And so now my sweater smells like lavender. Okay, so one thing I did is I had talked about it's a magnet. I got shit stuck. Oh, sorry. Stuff stuck all over the place. Talked about learning to do Portuguese knitting, and I don't know that I've talked about it. So this is my Portuguese knitting hook, pin hook thing. And it's a magnet, so you like stick it on your shirt, and then it's the hook that you use to tension your yarn. And I really like using it for purling. To me, it's easier to purl like that. So what I would do, because I can knit faster using my regular knitting style, I tried a little bit to do continental. It's still a little weird for me. But I would knit across, and then I would just hook the yarn on my thing, and I would purl across, and it would go pretty fast. And then it gave my hands a break to do something different, and I was able to knit quite a bit longer without feeling like, you know, I need to shake out my hands or do something different. So I don't think it really changed my gauge. I couldn't tell that it did by looking at it, and if it did, it's ever so slight that it's not going to make any difference, because when I first started I didn't do that, and then I learned to do the Portuguese knitting, and I thought, let me just try that. So knit regular English style and then Portuguese knitting for the for going back on the purl side. So there's my sweater. I did alternate skeins. I started at the top and I did about half a skein of one skein. And when I got to about halfway, I introduced another skein, and then I've been alternating skeins. So then the one that I started with ran out, and then I had half a skein from the second ball, and then I brought in another ball. And so that's been working pretty well, and really distributing the colors pretty evenly. So that's my sleeve waste yarn. I'm excited for this to be done because I want to wear it, and I want to make sure that I get it done in the season where I can wear it, and not finish it like in June where I have to wait, you know, forever to wear it again. So I got kind of stopped when it said to pick up for the ribbing stuff. It was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm just going to try it. So at knit night last night, I was asking one of the ladies, and she kind of gave me some tips on how I can kind of make sure I have it even, because I don't want to end up with like too much on one side, and I don't know, it just seems a little loose. Something knit night, speaking of knit night, one of the ladies came and she had these needles, and she's like, "Have you ever heard of them? Would you like to try them?" So I'm like, "Sure, I'll try anything." Whoop. They're German. Everything written on here is German, so I don't know how you're supposed to use them, but I'm going to look up on YouTube. So basically, they're a bent needle. And I've seen these. Somebody posted these not too long ago on Instagram, I think, and I just thought it was a stitch holder, which you could use as a stitch holder. I'm not sure how you're supposed to use them. There's 3. I'm kind of thinking you may use them like the Addy Flexi flips, but I don't know. So it's a size 3, 3 millimeter, or size 2.5, 3 millimeter. It's a 3 millimeter, which is too big for me for socks. So I have to wait and see what I can knit with a size 3. I don't know. But that was nice of her to give them to me. She's like, "Yeah, I can't do it. I don't knit." So before we left for Christmas, I'm like, I need socks because I finished my Christmas socks, and I always have to have socks on the needles. And I wanted something just colorful and fun. And I've been craving pink for some reason lately. And so I pulled out of my stash this yarn. This was my Ariel colorway. And it sat in the shop. Nobody wanted it, so I took it because I like it, and it's knitting up to make some really cool socks. So look at that cute stitch marker. That's one of the stitch markers that Michelle gave me. So I'm almost to the toe. I think I have maybe a ½ inch, and then I'll do the toe. I was gonna do a contrasting heel and toe, and I thought, you know, let me just see what happens. I really like how that worked up, where the stripes were a little bit bigger. But I'm cool with it. I'm really enjoying working with this because I love all these colors, and it's turning out pretty cool. So if I had done the contrasting heel, then I wouldn't have gotten this pooling that goes across the instep. But, you know, it's all right. I'm good with it. Something else I got. This is something I've heard about her on, I think, the Grocery Girls, one of their episodes, and they talked about Woolen and Company, and she makes like hand salves, or, you know, like hand salve. It's a salve. It's even called lanolin infused hand salve. So it's like a firm salve, and I'm really liking it because my hands get really dry, and I don't have the best hands, but everything gets really dry, especially when I start dyeing, because if I put my hands in the water that the vinegar is in, or the citric acid is in, it really dries out my hands. And then just knitting makes my hands really dry, so I just rub a little bit of that on, and it's really nice. So I got Soothe, which is supposed to help just soothe dry hands, because it's got lavender, chamomile, rose, and calendula. And then I also got warmth, which is supposed to be an anti-inflammatory balm because it's got arnica, which is supposed to help. I don't know that you can put enough on your hands with this to make it really make your arthritis feel better, but I love the smell of it. It smells really good. And so this is the one I've been using. I got the Soothe for Jim. Jim gets really dry hands, but he hasn't been using it, so I'm taking it back. So she's out of Seattle, which is kind of cool because it's sort of local. So Woolen and Company, definitely recommend this because it feels really good. I think that it would be really neat if she did it in like a, almost like a deodorant container thing where you can just sort of rub it on like that. Because I don't feel like I can get enough. I always want to put more on. But it just soaks right in and my hands feel really good. So that's been a really fun little purchase. Oh my gosh, did I get through the pile? I think I did. I got through the pile. Okay, I'm going to go gather up the yarn that is going to be new in my shop because it's on the drying rack. So let me pause right here and go get that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to start with some of the ones that are still a little bit wet. I don't have names for all these yet, and that's a really hard thing for me to come up with names because I've got yarn that I dyed, you know, like a month or so ago that I can't think of a name for, and so it's just sitting there waiting for me to name it. I wanted to try and be better about having, instead of just be like, oh, I want to play with blue, let me do this, is that I want it to go with something else. And so I wanted something that would go with my denim. This is the color of Bundle Up Betty's pants, by the way. And so I came up with this, which has got blue and this pretty brown with it and a lot of white. I think it looks really good with that. Like I said, I don't know what it's called. If anybody wants to suggest anything, I'm open. And then I also played with, you know what the Pantone color of the year is for 2018? Electric Violet. Oh yeah. I'm so excited about that because the last few years have been a color that I don't care for. I mean, I don't hate any particular color. There's some colors that I'm less drawn to. And some of the greens have been a little bit, like they did emerald and then it was, I don't know, some other kind of green. It was like, that was a pretty color. It's just not a color I wear. But violet, oh yeah. So violet goes with this one, which has violet and pink and blue. So it also goes with denim. It also goes with this one, which when I got done with it, I realized is very similar to my Fairy Wings colorway. It's just not as speckled as Fairy Wings. So I may just kind of rename Fairy Wings to this one. I'm not really sure. But that looks good with that. I also have been wanting to, and I finally just did it, is to make just a semi-solid, a tonal teal. So the tonal teal goes with that. Goes with all of those. So that's that. And then I've been, like I've said, I've been kind of craving some pink lately. And so I've been working on trying to figure out a way to do pink and brown. So I came up with this, which I think I'm going to call Chocolate Kisses. Goes really well with my chestnut, which is a dark brown. Looks really good. So those are some new colorways. I'm going to dye up more of this color because I think that turned out really pretty. And then I've got a list of other ones that I'm going to be dyeing. So these are, you know, some of these are still drying. Then it begins the whole, like, I got to take a picture of it and get it on the Etsy shop and blah, blah, blah. I will post on Instagram when I have an update, because I kind of wanted to wait till I had like the pairs that could go together and then download that all at the same time. And so I think I need to just do with what I've got and then just continue to keep working on some other colors because who knows when I'll get all my shit together. So, and I also have a stack of fabric that I want to make more of those notebook covers. Those went really well, and I only got a couple in the shop that are left, and I need to make some more of those, so I have to sit down and sew that. So, so that's what's coming up. So anyway, that's it. I'm just looking at my notes and I'm seeing that's it. So thanks for hanging out during all my ramblings. I'm sorry, I get a little like, but that's welcome to what's in my head. So I hope that you guys can subscribe and follow me and all that kind of stuff. And I hope you enjoy whatever crafting that you're doing. And I will see you in a couple weeks when I record again. Thanks for being here. Bye.